Okay.
Okay, now you've got solo. Now this is for a future button. When you get two of these together and you want to have a center section, which they're designing now, this will all link on the center section. Okay, so solo, you can solo anything you want. Mutes work now. Okay, pad 20 dB pad, phase reverse. And faders, you can put shadow mix in if you want.
Okay.
With tone lux, so that you can control something else. You can put flying faders in. We talked to Martin Sound. Anything you want. They're standard 100mm faders.
Wow, this thing's like feels like tank.
Awesome.
Feel that.
Absolutely awesome.
Somebody else feel this? Come on, somebody feel this. Feel it. I mean, it feels like.
And yet it's very light.
Hey, Mike, can you let that person in?
Once you take the modules out, because all the, if you wanted a completely different sound, if you wanted to go from an Electrodyne console to a Pete's Place console and you wanted a BAC with the EQs here, you just swap them out, literally unscrewing them and putting in a whole new sound. It's awesome. The coolest thing about it is it does it in minutes. You just unscrew. I want all Electrodynes. You go out and you swap with your friends. Hey, dude, I'm doing a tracking session. You want Electrodynes in your setup. You just take them, screw them in, you're done. They slide right in, slide right out. It's standard 500 series components.
It's the playing cards of the new recording evolution.
Whoa! Say hey!
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm Ken.
You're Ken.
Ken Hirsch. I'm the designer of the Electrodyne series equipment.
Right on. So tell us a little bit about you real quick.
Oh, wow. Where do I start?
Show them what you've been working on, Ken.
Well,
after the Playboy Mansion incident.
Let's go back a ways. Well, ultimately, I started a business in the 80s that was preserving documentation and service information for rare recording consoles or companies that had simply gone out of business. From that, I started learning all these things about amazing equipment that had been built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and started learning how to bring the stuff back to life, how to fix it, how to maintain the consoles that were still out there. And eventually what I started to end up doing was designing new products based on the original designs. In many cases, especially in the case of the Electrodyne, using the original manufacturers for the critical components. Like all the transformers in these preamps, and the inductors and transformers and the EQs are all manufactured by the same company that made them in the 60s. All I had to do was walk in the door and say, hey man, remember these that your dad designed 40 years ago? Can you just start making them again? The guy walks over to the cabinet, pulls out the file, says, yes I can.
Wow.
And so we now are able to literally bring a true, it's not a recreation, it's not a clone.
For anybody out there that doesn't know, what is Electrodyne, what is the...
Electrodyne was truly the very first modular console ever made. It was the first console that came out where the EQ, the preamp, and the fader were all integrated into one strip. It was the first console you could order where you said, I want it built like this, and they would manufacture it like this. Electrodyne was the first company to make an active combining network. They were the first company to come out with a digital VU meter. Wow. They were the first company to ever come out with automation. They were pioneers in the industry. And the engineers and the people who helped build that company really came from the background of the 50s and the 60s and understood what the recording industry really needed and came up with a way to bring it to them. And what I'm doing,
they had no idea how
they had
how
no
far
idea
it would go.
the far-reaching effects. So in gathering up all those documentations and the schematics and the manufacturing docs and putting them together over about 25 years, it took us to gather it all together. And studying these things together with another design associate over the past year and a half, we looked at the best designs, we looked at the original factory engineering notes, and we sat down and said, what's the coolest thing we can build to start with to bring Electrodyne back so that people can understand how cool this gear was back then? We're finding out, people are starting to finally understand that this gear is as quiet, as smooth, and in many cases can outperform anything you can buy today that can be built with an IC. It's all discrete, transformer coupled. These things can output plus 30 dBm. I don't know anything can handle plus 30 dBm, but the headroom's there, which means you'll never clip.
That is awesome.
So,
all right, well let's hear it up, Tony Shepard. Let's make some noise. Let's make some noise with the toys. We got a crowd out here clapping. Yeah. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, everybody. Come on, man. We got the whole crew. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
For now,
let's make some noise.
Now let's just so we're only going to use 8 outputs right now.
Okay.
And I'm just going to run just a couple things through the BACs, just to kind of, you know, see what you can do with a 2 mix. So let's notice the faders are not up. Right?
We're we unity on those two?
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Or just kicking the unity button.
Gotcha.
Love that feature. Okay?
You heard it here. Tony loves that feature.
I love that feature. So let's put a little bit up here. So now if I want to hear what this EQ is doing, I just take off the bypass, kicking the EQs.
No, and for everybody out there, what EQ is that? Just so people.
This is from Pete's Place. Is this an A Designs?
EMP
A
EQ.
Designs.
A Designs.
Yeah, it's the EQP.
EMP EQ.
Right.
EMP.
The EQ is the
EMP
from
EQ?
A Designs, correct? Not from Pete's Place.
Yeah, anytime you see the A Designs logo, it means A Designs.
Oh, we just
Wow.
We try to make it simple.
All right, now we've gone beyond.
I know.
We've gone to public
So now,
school.
okay, so let's say we're gonna boost a little bit at 10K.
That sounds really nice.
Thank you. And then
Who's that on guitar?
Michael Rapole
Man,
is ridiculous too.
that's ridiculous.
So now we've got a little bit of
That's
100.
ridiculous sounding.
So, Al, take a listen. And so now let's put in these compressors, right?
Wow.
That's just the stereo mix. And then I can just shut them off by simply saying go bypass.
And that's just the straight mix.
That's just the straight mix. Now everything we've got coming out is going into, we're going out of the stereo mix of the Mark 8 and we're going into the nail. Now this is really the answer to the hammer. The hammer was a 2-channel, 3-band EQ. It's all 2. And this is a 2-channel compressor. But there's some really cool functions on here that make it absolutely sweet for just about everything you're doing. So I'm going to put it in and watch this. You've got this high pass filter knob, right? And basically as the bass comes in, if you were to have a normal compressor and you had the kick forward, you would be pulling down the kick because the kick would be so loud you'd be pulling it down with the compression, right? So watch. So I'm gonna make the kick go all the way through. I'm gonna make it fast. Every time he hits the kick a little hot, but if you want to bypass that kick so that anything below 180 doesn't hit the compressor, you just hit the high pass filter up to whatever frequency you want. Now it's not hitting that compressor at all, the sound is going through. You get what I'm saying?